Hi, everybody. This is Samantha from the law offices of Samantha Wolf. And today I'm here with our next edition in our Partnering with the Pros series. So every couple of months, we try to interview a professional in the community that we feel like can offer some expertise and be able to partner with our office in a way that would help our clients have a better experience. It might be through the estate administration process or through the estate planning process. So here I'm excited. I have Kaleb Hurley with me today. For those of you who have been following our YouTube channel, you know that a couple of years ago, we did a joint seminar with Hurley Auctions, but I felt like there was so much material to unpack in that seminar that I wanted to have Kaleb come and do another Partnering with the Pro series. So thank you, Kaleb, so much for being here. I appreciate that. I'm going to tell our audience a little bit about Hurley Auctions, and then I'm going to have you turn it over so that you can tell our audience a little bit about yourself. Okay. So just as a way of background, our office has had the pleasure of working with Hurley Auctions through several of our estate administration processes for our clients. And Hurley Auctions, just so everybody knows, we're going to make sure to link this and put all of the contact information in the description. But Hurley Auctions is located at 2800 Buchanan Trail East in Greencastle, Pennsylvania. You can reach them at 717-597-9100. And they're a full service professional auction company. And they actually started off as a small family business, and they have become recognized in our community as well as across the nation to be a premier auction professional company that helps our clients. So they strive to bring the best possible results for their clients, which are also our clients. And they have successfully conducted over 4,000 auctions. The real estate division has sold hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate from the East Coast all the way over to California. And the commercial division has sold millions of dollars worth of assets from aircraft, manufacturing machinery, and medical equipment to restaurant and contractor equipment. So I wanted to give that background on Hurley Auctions. They do have a mission, which I think is worth mentioning here. So the mission is to provide the highest possible auction and appraisal services available. They do that through honesty, integrity, professionalism, and hard work. They're committed to treating each client with the utmost respect and handling each auction professionally and to the best of their ability. Their success is measured by the ultimate satisfaction of all those individuals whom they serve. So with that being said, Kaleb, I know I gave a little bit of an introduction, but tell us a little bit about yourself, just so that we can know who Kaleb Hurley is.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting. But my name is Kaleb Hurley. I was born and raised in Waynesboro, PA, and then shortly after that moved to Greencastle. And so I'm very excited to live in this area. I love it very much. But just to tell you a little bit about myself, I grew up in the auction industry. And so my father, Matt, obviously had weekly auctions here at our facility, which we don't do so much of that anymore. But I grew up in the auction business, just running around the auction house, learning a little bit here and there. As I went through high school, I enjoyed sports very much. I attended Greencastle Antrim High School. I served a 2-year mission for my church in the country of Paraguay in South America. And so I do speak Spanish, which can be helpful for some of our clients, which is kind of fun.
Yes.
And so after that, I got home, studied some business and agriculture at Brigham University, Idaho, came back and started in the family business. And so that's a little bit about me. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Kara. We have a little 7-month-old baby, Hal. His name is Hal, and we are in love with him. And so that's a little about me and my family, but certainly enjoy the auction business, love our little community, and look forward to serving many more families around the area.
Well, just to brag on you a little bit more, I know that you studied business and agriculture, like you said, but you're a licensed auctioneer and a licensed realtor. So I think that's always important to mention, because I think people always like to know not only who you are, but kind of what your background and education is. So, and to kind of start us off a little bit, tell us, I know you had mentioned in the introduction that you kind of grew up being around the auction house, but things have changed a little bit. And I know just from working with Hurley Auctions the last couple of years, COVID has kind of changed a lot of how you guys work through your process. Tell us about the difference between when you were a little kid running around the auction house versus what it's like now, and kind of walk us through why those changes occurred.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess business this summer will have been in business for 30 years. And so it's been a business. We're fortunate to be in business as long as we have been. But when we started, we just started selling things here at our auction house. So we'd have a weekly consignment auction. People would bring items here, or we'd pick the items up and we'd sell them here in a weekly live auction. And we did that for a long time, years and years and years. As the world changes, as many of us know, technology advances. And so we have turned now to doing online auctions most of the time. And so for the last 10 years, we've been doing online auctions. We do still offer live auctions, but once we talk to our clients, generally the recommended route and the route they decide to take is to do an online auction. The majority of the world is now on social media and technology. And so instead of selling things live with a crowd, now we can sell things online. And so actually we just did an auction last night in Waynesboro. It was an online auction. Had we done it live, we might have got maybe 100 people there. We ended up having over 460 registered bidders.
Oh,
so just
wow.
the advantage is incredible because you can find so many more people, and that's how things are really starting to change here at the auction house. And so it's been an incredible change in the industry over the last couple of years.
I feel like it just means you can get the assets out to so many more people. Like so many more people are now having the ability to see what's being auctioned. And I feel like that's always good when you are an auction company, because it also means that then that really helps with the sale price of assets.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And part of our mission is to make sure that our client is satisfied. And if they're not satisfied, we're not satisfied. And so
Right.
fortunately, through these online auctions, we can get a greater grasp on what the market is, help to maximize the value of those assets, and ultimately satisfy our clients by getting them top dollar for what they own.
Now, tell me a little bit about when you're talking online, because I think of you guys there as kind of having two main areas in which you're kind of focusing the auction on. So we have like personal property, household goods, things like that. Then we also have the real estate. Are you guys doing online auction for one of those, both of those? How is that working?
Yeah, that's a great question. So generally with the personal property, that's what we primarily do online. When
Okay.
it comes to real estate, when we do real estate auctions, we mostly do those live.
Mhm.
And it's just something that we love to do them live. There are some advantages outlined that we like to do it live for that reason, but we have done some online real estate auctions. Obviously, with the real estate, we offer both the traditional realty services or also the auction services, which benefits both of our clients and depending on what their needs are. But most of the time, when it comes to online auctions, that would be more referring to our personal property division.
Okay. I attended my first in-person auction for some real estate over in Hurley Town. This has been a couple of years. It was so interesting. I'd never been to one. So for those who are watching this and have never been to a live auction, watching how the auctioneer works is so neat, and just seeing how the process. So if you don't mind, let me just tell you about that experience, because I think that ties in with some of the benefits of working with someone like Hurley Auctions. So, like I said, it was over in Hurley Town, and it was an older house. There were some things that probably needed to be updated, but the family didn't really want to have to pay for all the inspections, have to bring the house up to all the different codes, all of that. So they went and talked to Hurley Auctions. You guys did a great job kind of talking about, which we'll get to in a second, the benefits of an auction versus going the traditional sale route. So they decided to do an auction. Tammy and I from my office went to the auction that day. What was so neat about it, and I think what Hurley's did, which I'm not sure you would get unless you had all these connections, is they actually knew of people that had attended other auctions and would tell them, hey, call if you get certain real estate that kind of meets this criteria. And so it was really exciting the day of the auction. Of course, we had people there in person, but there was this mystery bidder that somebody from your guys' team at Hurley Auctions was on the phone with. They got stuck in traffic. I think they were coming from Virginia or West Virginia, and they were actually bidding on the phone through one of the employees at Hurley Auctions. And it was so neat because that person wouldn't have known about this property had it not been for your guys' involvement. So not only do I think that the auction offers a lot of benefits, which we'll get to, but I also think the connections that you guys have throughout the tri-state area and even on the East Coast and all throughout the United States brings buyers that maybe you wouldn't get if you tried to sell it personally or through a realtor. So I wanted to share that just because I kind of saw the benefits of that. I don't know if there's any comments you want to make about that, Kaleb, but I just wanted to share that so that those watching knew that it's not just that you guys auction it, but you also have all of these connections that are really helpful.
Yeah, no, I would have to agree with that. We've been fortunate because we've sold thousands of properties. When it comes to selling properties, we know people who buy properties.
Yes.
And so we might know someone that would say, we know this person would be interested, or we know
Mhm.
that this person has a friend who would be interested. So
Yes.
because we sold thousands of properties, we have so many connections that
Mhm.
benefits our sellers. And so I'll just give you a quick example. We sold a farm down in Clear Spring, Maryland.
Mhm.
And a farm's a unique property to sell. But we knew the people who would be interested in that farm. We knew exactly who they were. So we made direct contact with them. We gave them a private tour of the property. And that property ended up bringing over $1 million more than we ever dreamed it would
Wow.
bring. But it was because of those connections that we found. And so that connection that we found, he was the guy who bought it. And so those are some of the benefits that we find with
Oh,
selling
that's
real
so
estate
neat.
auction and the connections we have.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad you shared that story because I think that it's one thing that you guys are able to kind of help go through things, downsize, auction things off, but it's just opening up clients to a whole nother set of connections that they might not get, through a traditional sale or through that process. So I think that's really important. So I'm glad that you had that story to tell. That being said, let me ask you just kind of to walk me through kind of how it works. So the first is that tell me what the process is like. So if someone says, I think I want to go with Hurley Auctions, and let's say they have a house and then they have obviously the contents of the house. Walk me through. And let's say both of them, they're thinking they want to auction both.
Yeah, great question. So it will depend on their timing. Everyone has a timing that's a little bit different. And something nice about us is that we're very flexible. And so we want you to be comfortable. We don't want you to feel rushed. You don't want you to feel too slow. So we try to make everything feel very natural for you. And so we would recommend first coming out. It's a free consultation. We'd like to meet with you, get to know you, know that we're real people, and we like to sit down and talk about you and your life as well. So we like to get to know you. We'd come out, give a free consultation, go through your home, and then we'd give you specific recommendations on what we would recommend on the personal property side of things and on the real estate side of things and how we can maximize the value of your assets. So then what we would do is we would get you on our schedule for our personal property auctions. Likely, if it's an online auction, we would send our team out. They would get everything organized and cataloged. And then we would have a future auction as well for our real estate that we can start advertising for that. And so that's kind of the timeline and how things would
Mhm.
work. It can be as quick as you'd like, a number of weeks we can do it, or as slow as you need if you're not moving for a couple months. And so the timeline can vary depending on circumstances.
Does the personal property auction have to be completed before you guys can do the real estate auction, or is it happening simultaneously?
Good question. So we do it both ways. So sometimes the house is okay to do it simultaneously. Sometimes it's best to get everything out prior to the real estate being sold. And so it really depends on personal circumstances and preferences. Some people say, you know what? I think my house is clean enough that I can do it and sell the real estate at the same time. But some folks say, I'd really prefer to have my house emptied. And so with whichever way you'd like to go, we can certainly work with that.
Okay. Next question is, let's say I have my house full of stuff. You guys are coming out to talk to me about what I can sell. Should I pack things up before? Like, am I organizing, packing things up, or am I letting it sit where it is?
Great question. We like when you leave everything sit right where it's at. So a lot of time, folks, they're moving. For those things they aren't moving, we would recommend you leave them right where they're at because in the case we can do an online auction at your property, we can leave everything right where it's at. The kitchen cupboards, they can be left full. We can leave the drawers full. We can leave the closets full. We just need to make sure we stage items to where they look best. So if there's a picture hanging on the wall, when we sell that picture, it helps someone to visualize what that picture will look like in their home compared to if it's laying on the floor or something like that. So we really try to leave everything right where it's at. And the more that we touch and move things, the more that it costs. And so we try to keep everyone's cost down because we want them to be satisfied with their end result. And so whenever we can leave something where it's sitting, it keeps the cost down, keeps the client happier.
So for me, I'm a visual person. So like when I'm decorating my house, I know they always put measurements as far as like how
Mhm.
big a picture is, but if I could see it on a wall, Like, how
Yeah.
much space does it take up on the wall? What does it look like? Especially, I'm thinking of here, even in our office, we have pictures next to a door. If you can keep it there, I feel like it shows people a little bit more about the size, the spacing of it all. Plus, you're right. I feel like houses that are staged always sell better than those that are empty. So if you can take
Mhm.
a picture of it for the online auction in its setting and people can see what it looks like, I feel like you're going to get a higher amount for it. And this is just my naive thought process of how I look at things. But I think that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And something interesting is the more that people know, the more that they are willing to pay. And so
Mhm.
when they know, hey, that looks nice in that house, and this is what the measurements are, and this is who made it, and this is the details about it in the year, the more they're willing to pay. And so we
Mhm.
try to give them all the necessary details, including taking pictures in the house so they can visualize it in their own home, as well as giving them measurements, the description, who made it. Things like that really help people to make the decision if they're going to bid that one more time. And so those are the kinds of things we really look for.
And that's your team at Hurley Auctions helps do all that. Like, if you're coming into my house, it's not like you're going to say, Sam, come up with a description for all of these items. Like, you guys are the ones who are taking the pictures and kind of inputting all of that information, correct?
That's right. So we have team members very experienced when it comes to descriptions. We have multiple people who are willing and able and capable to do that and have been with us for a long time. Then when it comes to pictures, we have a couple people who do our pictures and do a fantastic job. And so don't worry about that. Your job is to relax. Let us know any necessary information we might need to know. But apart from that, we can take care of it, handle it, make sure you can relax in the process.
Okay, so I've been to your guys' awesome facility there on Buchanan Trail East, and I know that you guys also do have some items in there. Why do certain items come back to your facility versus maybe not?
Yeah, there's not a lot of circumstances where the items actually come back to our facility, but in those circumstances they do. Sometimes there's just a few things left in the house that you're not taking with you, and maybe it's not the best time to do an online auction at your property. Maybe we need to add it to a few more other people's items. So that's what we would call a multi-consignment auction, where maybe someone else is also selling their home and they just have a few items as well. We combine the couple items together and it makes for a larger auction, which gives a larger audience. So those would be the special cases that we bring something back. Other cases is when we have a unique collection. So for example, we are preparing a coin auction right now. It's a unique collection. We need room and we have the safe and the special facilities to do it here. We're also doing a toy auction here where a gentleman has thousands and thousands of toys and trains, and it's incredible. But the reason we couldn't do it at his home is there just wasn't the space. So sometimes unique collections are also good to be brought back here, including coins, trains, guns, anything unique, things like that.
Plus, I think if I'm a buyer and maybe I'm a coin collector or a train collector or a gun collector, and I can go to a website or whatever, and you guys have kind of grouped it together, and maybe you're doing like a coin collection, as kind of, I feel like that then you're going to get more of those people who are looking for that specific item. Like maybe you would get more people who are looking for coin collections if they knew, hey, this is a particular item that you're doing multiple. Am I explaining that correctly?
Yeah, yeah. So, for example, if we do a coin auction, let's say we go to a person's home and they have an estate or they have their items and we're handling them. They have a small coin collection, but maybe it doesn't merit doing its own sale. So we would bring it back and include it in maybe someone else's coin collection. But the nice thing is it makes for a larger sale. So we can advertise that on its own, whereas maybe it would get lost in the
Mhm.
other items at their own sale. And so that's one of the benefits is that we can make it its own sale, advertise it to specifically to those people that want coins, and
Mhm.
it makes out for a better end result.
I could see that absolutely because I do think that as I've been navigating your guys' website, I would think there are going to be people who are checking your site regularly if they're looking for certain collections or certain items. And so if they know, hey, a coin collection or there's going to be a certain thing that's specifically going to be here, then I think they're just going to be trolling your site that much more.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We have coin collectors that do that. For example, we had a toy that came out of one of our auctions we were doing, and he was from New Hampshire. And I asked the gentleman, I said, "How did you hear about this item?" He said, "I Googled this specific toy because that I needed for my collection." And it popped up hurleyauctions.com. And so those are some of the benefits of online
Interesting.
as well, where it
Yes.
wasn't anything, like he wasn't searching just for that item
Mhm.
or just for that sale, but he was looking for just that item. So that could
Mhm.
go as far as coins and guns, where they just want that one item. They Google it and it pops up hurleyauctions.com.
And that kind of comes back to what you were saying before, which is because it's online, you're getting all these people who can access it versus if it was done in person, somebody from California that might be looking for this specific item might not be willing to travel to Little Green Castle, Pennsylvania, but they're willing to bid on an online auction.
Yeah, absolutely. We just recently had a car auction where we sold a Ford Model A, and the buyer came from the Netherlands. So he bid on our auction, and we had the car shipped from here all the way to the Netherlands. So that was a unique project I was privileged to be able to work on, because
Wow.
communicating with him was difficult, and because we did not speak the same language. But he
Mhm.
found out about our auction just by the use of the internet. And so it's incredible where we can send some of these items.
It is that is really cool. So when we're talking about items, I'm thinking of personal property, like things in the house. But you brought up cars. I mean, it didn't occur to me that cars would be an option. So tell me what is possible for you guys to auction.
We can sell just about anything. And so when we go into a house, we can sell cars, we can sell furniture, we can sell household items. We actually even did a sale where we sold some taxidermy, where there was a gentleman who owned a deer refuge where they would hunt big bucks, and he had a lot of famous mounts. We sold those. We've sold cars, we've sold Civil War items, guns. The list goes on, but we can sell just about anything that we feel would have value and would be beneficial to be
Mhm.
offered at auction, we can sell.
When you guys are coming out to the house and kind of looking around at the personal property, do you get that question a lot of
We
what
do.
can we sell versus what can we not?
We do. We do get that question, and there are some things that are not best to be offered at auction.
Mhm.
Some things that maybe just don't sell best, such as artificial flowers, newspapers, magazines,
Mhm.
journals, things like that, personal family items. But the grand majority of things in your home can be sold. We
Mhm.
even had an auction recently in Waynesboro where the gentleman, because of COVID, was a toilet paper hoarder. And we sold stacks of toilet paper, and they sold like crazy. You would
Oh,
not believe.
wow.
And so you wouldn't believe some of the things we can sell.
Okay, so let me give you two things, and you tell me, can we sell it? Can we not?
Sure.
Clothes.
Some clothes we can sell.
Okay.
There are some clothes that we can sell, and some clothes are best to be donated,
Okay.
just because they've seen the better part of their lives. But there are some clothes, if they are clean, not real worn, that can be sold in an online auction, yes.
So that's something where, again, you guys could look through it and say, yes, sell, otherwise donate.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Good. Old records.
Old records, that is something that's hot right now, vinyl records. And so generally those that are most valuable or most desirable at this time are pop or rock or country. The gospel records haven't become so desirable and valuable, but records, yes, absolutely something that is becoming coming back in. My sister, she just turned 15. She got a record player for her birthday. And so vinyl is something that's coming back in.
It
People are
is.
starting to get back into it.
Mhm. Okay, what about, and I think I already know the answer to this because it was in an estate, but I'm going to throw it out because I don't think a lot of people know that. So, what about cleaning supplies like Clorox wipes, all of those
Oh
types
yeah.
of things?
Cleaning supplies can absolutely be sold in an online auction. So
Okay,
people will find cleaning supplies, and you'll find they will pay a great deal for these cleaning supplies because sometimes they can't find them elsewhere.
right.
Especially during COVID, cleaning supplies were hard to come by. And so our online
Mhm,
auctions were a place that people went to find cleaning
mhm.
supplies to be able to clean their home.
Well, and you guys do a great job in the situation I'm thinking of. Um, you kind of had boxed several things together, and there was
Mhm.
cleaning supplies in there as part of it, but it was kind of like here are some items that kind of all go together, and people were bidding on kind of a collection of items, like not the specific Clorox. You had put like kind of grouped all the cleaning supplies, and people were bidding on that box as one. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
absolutely. Sometimes we can't sell just one thing of Clorox wipes, but we can sell three with some Windex and with some other things. And so sometimes we have to make a lot, and that
Mhm.
lot would help to make that a better sale.
Right. Okay. How about guns?
Yeah, guns, absolutely. A lot of times, guns we do bring back to our facility because we do have an FFL license. So we do have our federal firearms license, which allows us to handle these guns in a professional manner. And so a lot of times, guns we do want to bring back here because it's just a little bit more professional to handle them here.
I'm glad that you brought that up because a lot of people don't realize that in Pennsylvania, especially if you're an executor. You have certain firearms that you're handling, you do have to be licensed in order to handle them. So somebody like Hurley Auctions being able to securely store those firearms would be very helpful to an executor, even if they are licensed. Just being able to secure them properly would, sometimes be problematic. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah.
How about, we talked about cars, so cars can be.
Yes, absolutely.
How about jewelry?
Yeah, jewelry is very good. We have a lady on staff who's very good with jewelry.
Okay.
We recently had a jewelry auction just this last year that was very well attended, and people did enjoy it. Jewelry is something that it does depend on the metal content, because some metals come up and some go down. It's just the reality of the economy. But jewelry is something that does sell very well on our website.
Okay. If you could tell me 3 things, Kaleb, that are hot right now that are selling really well, what do you
Ooh.
think those top 3 would be?
Things that are most hot. That is a good question. So some things that are selling hot, vinyl records we talked about.
Mhm.
We sold a vinyl record lot for over $1,000 just a little bit ago. And so those are hot. Something else that's selling really well is mid-century furniture. Mid-century furniture has been out of style for a long time, but clean, good mid-century furniture is starting to come back into style. And so those are 2 things. Let me think of something else that's been selling really good for us. Oh, so many things have been selling good for us. Um, hmm. And then the other thing I would say, coins have been selling really well for us. I don't know if that's necessarily a hot item, but coins have been selling really good for us. And coins are an interesting market. They go up and down just like
Mhm.
precious metals would. But
Mhm.
coins have been selling really well on our website as well.
What about books? Do books sell or not really?
It does depend on the book. Some books,
Okay.
such as history books, Civil War books, things like that, they're going to continue to hold their value. Some books, especially that hold value, are local books. You'll find
Mhm.
Renfrew books. You'll find history of Franklin County, history of Waynesboro. Those generally sell really well. Some of your paperback that aren't so desirable won't sell as well, but we can add them to a larger lot, and generally they do sell.
What about things that are kind of known in this area? Like I know that a lot of people think of like John Bell, the
Yeah.
pottery. Does that sell well?
Yeah, John Bell does sell well. The market is certainly down from where it was years ago when it used to
Yeah.
sell crazy high, but it is still continuing to sell well. Frank Feather Canes is something else. We
That
just
was
sold
the
one
other
a
one I
couple
was going to
months
ask
ago.
you that people
Yeah,
think of for this area.
yeah.
Yeah.
We just sold one a couple months ago, sold for a couple $1,000s. Certainly not the market that it was 15 years ago,
Mhm.
but they are still continuing to sell well. Speaking of Frank Feather, we have a beautiful magazine rack and a cane coming up on our website probably here in the next couple months.
Oh,
They will
nice.
also be extended
Okay.
to the public as well.
That's neat. Okay. Thank you for telling us kind of what's hot, just because I feel like a lot of people don't recognize what can be sold. So I feel like when in doubt, let Hurley Auctions come out and just look to see. Don't touch anything, don't move anything, just have them come on out and look. So that
Yeah,
that way you're making sure that you're capturing all of those items that could potentially be sold.
absolutely.
Um, from a legal perspective, here at our office, Pennsylvania has an inheritance tax. So, for example, children pay inheritance tax at a rate of 4.5%. So, I love it when we get to partner with Hurley Auctions because you guys, as you're selling it, are kind of telling us what the true value of those items are. And so, we're able to more accurately estimate the inheritance tax and make sure we're not overpaying for something. So I always appreciate you guys give a nice little book that kind of breaks down what the items were sold for. And we can use that from the legal side of things when we're doing inheritance tax. So you guys do a great job of packaging that information for those attorneys that you're partnering with. So thank you guys for doing that because it's so helpful for our clients.
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Um, I wanted to follow up. So sometimes you guys do auctions of real estate. Sometimes you guys do the personal property. And I know sometimes you probably do isolated. You might just do the real estate. You might do the personal property. Is there an advantage to having Hurley Auctions do both of those items, meaning that you're auctioning off the personal property and you're auctioning off the real estate?
There is an advantage. We have an incredible amount of people that come to our website on a daily basis. And so all the time, we'll have a personal property auction where they will call and say, "Hey, I saw you have this personal property at this house. Are you selling the real estate?" And
Oh, interesting.
we love to say, absolutely, we're selling the real estate. Or we'll have an open house or a preview for the contents of the home. They'll walk through the home and say, "Wow, this is beautiful. This would be great for me or my daughter or my son. Are you selling the real estate?" And we always love to say, "Yes, we are." And so we have an incredible amount of people that flock to the website. And because of that, it's beneficial to use us for both because of the exposure that we get. We get an incredible amount of exposure through our Facebook page, through our internet presence, through the websites we use to advertise. And because of that, that's one of the great benefits to using us for both real estate as well as personal property.
Mhm. Absolutely. I didn't even think about that. But as you're talking about, of course that would happen because as people are coming through looking at the personal property items, if they want to, because again, I know they're online, but you guys usually do have previews where people can look at it in person. And so, of course, you'd have people that said, "Oh, I really like this house. Are you also selling it?" I didn't even think
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah, we have an auction, as I told you, that just concluded in Waynesboro. For the preview, we had 125 folks walk through the home. So that's 125 unique visitors that are viewing your home, that are seeing
Mhm.
it is available. And then we also have our pickup, which is going to be tomorrow. We had over 200 winning bidders. So there's another 200 people that are coming to your home. And so the amount of exposure, whether they're interested, their kids, their friends, their
Mhm.
neighbors are interested, they know, hey, this house is available. It is beautiful. And so those are some of the benefits that other people just wouldn't be able to provide.
Absolutely. I love that. So you guys are going into the house, you're figuring out what can be sold, you're taking photographs of everything, putting on your online auction. There are previews where people can walk through. Then once the auction closes online, then they're picking it up at the location, right?
That's correct. So our team staffs that. Our team is there for the entire process through the preview and the pickup. Generally, our pickups are very quick. Within usually a couple hours, 6 to 8 hours, the home is emptied out. And our staff is ensuring that everything is going out the door very carefully, that the right people are getting the
Mhm.
right items, but all very organized when it comes to the pickup.
Mhm. So funny personal story. I had a great aunt who lived over in Maryland in the Emmitsburg area. And when she passed away, it was this old farmhouse. She had grown up there, had lived there. They had, oh goodness, probably 60 years worth of junk. I mean, not junk, but like stuff in the house. And this was before I was an attorney. I was in college, and my mom and I had to go through the house. It took us months because you'd open up a drawer and then you would, it's emotional, you're thinking of all the emotions, you're telling stories, all of that's great. It's exhausting though to go day after day after day after day and clean out the house. So I just think of, sometimes we have executors who don't live locally, but there's real estate or personal property here. We have families that are local, but it's a lot of time and effort for them to have to do that. And they don't have a professional eye for it. You guys can probably do it much more efficiently than one of our executors. So I just want people to know that we have some people that come in and say, I don't want to have to deal with it. But then we have some people that come in and say, it's just too much time. I'm working full time. Maybe I'm still taking care of loved ones. So to have someone like Hurley Auctions with your expertise to be able to come in and do all of those things, even the pickups, because again, you guys take care of all of that. And so I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have people come in all the time and they'll say, wow, you did more in one day than I did in 4 weeks.
Hmm.
And it's not that they aren't qualified or they aren't good at it,
Hmm.
but it's just something that we're so familiar with that fortunately our team is very good at doing what they do.
Yes, you guys can just roll through it, and be very
Yeah.
efficient about it. Let's say we have a real estate auction. How long does the auction itself actually take?
Yeah, that's a unique question, but usually the auction itself only takes about 15 to 20 minutes. And so it's a very quick auction. We make sure we walk everyone through the process that is there to bid and we explain everything very well. But the reality is it's usually very quick. So usually
Okay.
within 15, 20, 25 minutes, we are wrapped up. The nice thing is we already have the contract signed and we're preparing for settlement. So it's usually when it gets to the auction day, a quick process.
Reserve, can I reserve a certain amount on the property or say I don't want to sell it for less than a certain amount?
Absolutely. So a reserve auction is the majority of the auctions we do. People can set a reserve because there's no risk to selling your property at auction. You can set a
Right.
reserve. If it doesn't bring your price, you are not obligated to sell. And so that's one of the benefits of selling at auction. Now, there are absolute auctions where we sell it regardless of price, but sometimes that is good and sometimes it's not. But a reserve auction, you set the price. If it doesn't bring your price, you don't have to sell. There's virtually no risk associated.
As I've worked with Hurley Auctions over the years, I've learned something interesting, and I feel like it should have been obvious to me as an attorney, but it wasn't. And that's this, that if you try to sell a house at auction for whatever reason, you don't sell it. You guys are realtors. Like you
Yeah.
can sell it traditionally too, correct?
Absolutely. Now, we are very successful when it comes to selling properties at auction. We've sold multiple this year, and every single one has sold the day of the auction. It's been a screaming success. But on the special circumstance where it doesn't sell the day of the auction, we are realtors. We can continue to market your property, and usually within a small or short amount of time, we can get it under contract.
So you almost get the option of doing it the auction route, and then if for whatever reason that does not work, and like you said, it probably very rarely happens that way, but then you can flip to a more traditional sale if you would want to do that.
Oh, yes, absolutely. We do offer both. And even when we are advertising up to the auction, it's on the MLS, it's on Zillow, it's on Truly, a realtor.com. It's in all those places that you are getting increased exposure other than just your newspaper ads.
How often do you guys actually sell a house before it goes to auction? Does that happen?
It does happen, but it does not happen often.
Okay.
A lot of times, the best case scenario is to take it to auction, but there are special circumstances where, yes, an offer comes in and the seller decides to take it prior to the auction, but it's not a usual circumstance. In most cases, it does go all the way to the day of the auction.
Which would make sense, right? Because you kind of want it to go to auction to kind of see what the highest and best price
You
is for
do.
it.
You do. Sometimes you don't know that certain people are interested. We sold one down in Williamsport, Maryland, where we planned to take it to auction. The neighbor previously had said, "Hey, I will give you $300,000." Well, it had appraised at $280,000. So $300,000 sounded like a really good deal.
Mhm.
$20,000 more than the appraisal value. We took it to auction, and it ended up selling for $370,000.
Wow. So if they
And
had
can
taken that offer, they would have not gotten the
They would have
highest.
lost out. And guess who the person was who bought it? It was the neighbor. And so the
Oh,
neighbor paid
interesting.
70,000 more than he said he would have
Mhm.
paid, but we had to have the auction to force him to pay more. And so it worked out really good
Mhm.
for the family.
Oh, I love that story. I mean, that's a great story. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which you talked about Williamsport, Maryland. So you guys can do it not just in Pennsylvania, right?
That's right. So we've sold properties from here all the way to California. We are licensed in multiple states here within the tri-state region, the four-state region. Um, but we can travel pretty much anywhere where our services may be needed.
Okay, great. I love that because I feel like when people have a good experience with a company, it's nice to know that, oh, there are other options to use them for other states.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Okay, so we've kind of danced around this, but tell me, why do I want to auction my real estate? What's the
Yeah.
pros, cons? Why would I do that versus a traditional listing?
That's a great question. So I'll give you an example. We just sold a property not Saturday, but the Saturday before that. It was a beautiful 136-acre farm in Houstontown, PA, Fulton County, Pennsylvania, which if you haven't been to Fulton County is beautiful.
It
It's
is.
like the hidden gem in Pennsylvania, but it's
Mhm.
beautiful. And we had successful open houses. We had over 30 people through the open houses. So very good success at the open houses.
Mhm.
Day of the auction, we had 26 registered bidders. We found 26 unique people that wanted to buy that property. Whereas if
Wow.
we would have listed it traditionally, we might have limited ourselves to just a couple people. Or maybe we would have accepted an offer just one day after it went on the market. But just think how many more people would have found out about the property if we had not taken that offer. And we
Mhm.
probably would have listed it for less than it brought. So 26 registered bidders, it ended up selling for 270,000 more than the seller's reserve. And so had we listed it,
Wow.
we would have probably listed it for less than it brought, and we
Mhm.
wouldn't have opened it up to a great as market. So
Mhm.
that's one of the benefits, the exposure that we get. If you have multiple bidders, it forces them to compete and everyone wants to win. Generally, your house can bring
Mhm.
more if we sell it that way. The other benefits is that it sells as is. There's no contingencies and no required repairs. And so those are some of the increased benefits. Sometimes we sell a house. We just did one down in Frederick, Maryland, where the seller or the buyer was requesting that we make some significant repairs, including a new septic and a new well. That would have cost us 40,000 plus. When we sell it at auction, it sells as is with no contingencies. Those are some of the benefits.
So normally, when I sell my house, the buyer might request certain inspections. So does that happen at auction?
At auction, it does not. And so
Okay.
it's not contingent on any inspection. So they can't, after the auction, say, well, you know what? I found this, so I'm not interested. It's not contingent on inspections and it's not contingent on financing. So that's one of the benefits as well. It forces the buyers to be qualified. They are
Mhm.
qualified to be prepared to purchase your home.
So it's not going to fall through because somebody wasn't getting the financing they thought they were going to get. Because in order to be there, they have to have the financing.
It could fall through, but it's not likely. Of the
Okay.
thousands that we've done, I could probably count on one hand how many times it has happened. And so very
Okay.
unlikely that it would fall through.
Okay. Because I feel like when I'm doing it traditional, here at the office, I mean, maybe I'm going to say too high of a percentage, but it seems like a good 30% end up kind of not happening because certain financing did not occur. And so I'm always, until the day of the closing, when we're at the closing, actually signing things, I'm just never convinced it's actually going to happen. And maybe that's me being negative, but I mean, I do think there is something to that when you go the traditional route.
Yeah, that's one of the
So,
nice things about selling it at auction is that generally the buyers are very qualified. They
mhm.
come with a check in hand, prepared to purchase the property. They've done their homework, they've done their research, they've inspected the property prior, which is one of the differences. Traditionally, generally the inspections have to happen
Mhm.
after you're under contract. In an auction, they happen before you're under contract. So
Gotcha.
everyone's prepared and ready to go.
The other thing is the neighbor component, like you talked about.
Oh
So
yeah.
if my neighbor is selling it traditionally, I may not be getting on like the normal traditional listing websites, but if I know there's going to be an auction, like I feel like I might just mosey on over there just to kind of
Yeah.
see what's going on.
Yeah, it builds some incredible anticipation for it. It
Mhm.
forces people that maybe weren't so interested to become very interested. Like that
Yeah.
neighbor story I told down in Williamsport, Maryland. It forced that neighbor to make a decision. And it,
Yeah.
it wasn't like he could sit back any longer. He had to decide, do I really want that property? And he
Right.
did.
So they're either going to paint or get off the ladder. I mean,
That's
really.
right. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Thank you for explaining that because so often clients will come in and we always say when they're selling real estate, are you going to go the traditional route or do you want to go the auction route? And that's probably the most frequently asked question we get. And that's why would I do an auction? Like, what are the benefits of that? And I feel like I can stumble my way through explaining it, but your eloquent response is so much more articulate than anything I would be able to voice to the client. So I do think there's so much benefit to that. How many auctions? So we're taping this March 6th. Since the beginning of the year, how many auctions roughly have you guys done?
Oh, from the beginning year, are you talking real estate auctions?
Yes, real
When
estate
it comes to
auctions,
real estate auctions, already this year we've done over 10, I believe. And I have my computer in front of me. In the month of
which is a
March,
lot.
we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 auctions scheduled for March. And so those are real
Wow.
estate auctions. So we have 10 scheduled for March. And so that's one of the other nice things is that because we do so
Mhm.
many of these real estate auctions, we do have so many contacts. We just sold one in State Line, Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, where we had sold one right up the road. So we had 10 bidders and more that attended the open house. So we called every one of them and said, hey, we have one right up the road. It's just like the one you bid on or just like the
Yes.
one you were in. Come and see it. And so that
Mhm.
really helped us as well on that one.
I love that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, talk to me about the advertising process that you guys use because we get that asked a lot. Like,
Yeah.
how does the word get out there? So tell me about the advertising process at Hurley Auctions.
Yeah, great question. When it comes to a real estate auction, it's more than just sticking a sign in the front yard and hoping it will sell. Like we've talked about, we do specific targeting and marketing for those that we really feel will be interested in. So we do use some paper publications. We do advertise on all the real estate websites, which would include Zillow, Truly.com, Realtor.com. We're on the MLS, and so other realtors can also find out about the properties and take their clients to see them. Sometimes the other things we do is direct mail, where we might send it to just the people who we know might be interested. So we'll send them a mailer or a postcard. That's something else we do, as well as email and text blast to our many, because we've sold so many, we have so many contacts, we can send them all an informational packet or we can send them all a text saying, hey, don't forget we have this auction coming up. So those are some of the methods we use. Now, Marge, who's in our office, she has won national awards for her marketing. And so those are some of the benefits that we can
Oh,
provide, that
nice.
we have a national award-winning team for our marketing efforts.
Oh, that's amazing. Right. And like you said, even when you knew that one had been auctioned prior, you guys reached out to those that had attended. So I feel like, although that's not a traditional form of advertising, like you're getting the word out that, hey, there's this other property.
Yeah, we're going to work for you. We're going to do whatever we can to get the job done and do it well.
Tell me about how you guys are paid for your services.
Yeah, so generally we work on a commission basis. Um, and so that's how we work generally on both the personal property and the real estate is on a commission basis.
Benefit of
Generally,
that is you guys make out better if it sells higher.
Oh yeah, and a lot of folks say, well, what can I get for my home? And we always say, well, we hope you can get as much as possible, because the more that you make, the more we make. And so
Right.
that gives us the extra incentive to say, hey, we're going to make this seller as much as we can, because we work on a commission basis. The more they make, the more we make.
Great. I like that too, because I feel like so often clients are worried that, oh, they'll try to not sell it for as much, or won't take as
Yeah.
much. So the fact that your guys' fate is linked to the client's fate in that, I think works well for both parties.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Okay. Let's talk about how we work together. Okay. So, for example, at our office, we do estate administration, just like so many attorneys in this area do. So, I'm going to tell you from my perspective how I think, and then I'm going to ask you to kind of fill in there. So, I know here at our office, whenever we do the estate administration IC, we do a free initial consultation. When there is real estate or when there's personal property involved, we always ask, what are the plans? What are you guys going to do with that? You guys have provided some great packets, some great folders that we keep in our reception area. So we get that right in the client's hands if they're talking about wanting to do that, or even if they're not sure, but we want them to make the connection with you guys just to kind of see what their options are. So that's kind of how we collaborate. And then from our perspective, once you guys get involved, we're just here as, hey, if you need like the deed drafted, we're happy to do that. We can look over anything. But once you guys get involved, we're kind of pushing that to you guys, which is important because attorneys' fees are always going to be more than Hurley Auctions because we have to charge hourly when we do estates. So it's
Mhm.
nice to partner. We're not obviously experts in the area of downsizing, auctions, personal property items. So once we get you guys involved, we're kind of like run with it and we're here as a support. But I'm interested to kind of hear your take on that and how you think kind of the estate administration attorneys can be involved.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times it does depend on the client. Some clients say, I want to be very involved. And some
Mhm.
clients say, I can't do this anymore. It's been too much. I need a break. And so however the client wants it handled is how we will go with it. And so if they want to be involved, be there to help us set the items up, that's an option. But a lot of clients, they allow us to go in and do our job. And
Mhm.
so any questions we have, specific or non-specific, that maybe the client can't answer, we'll refer to the attorney and say, hey, we just aren't too sure on this one. Can you help us on this one? Maybe a phone call, or maybe we're selling a vehicle and we say, hey, we just need some help on this car title. And I know sometimes with your office, we'll just say, hey, do you have this car title? Yep, we'll pick it up, or you'll drop it off, or
Yeah.
vice versa. And so generally on those tough to answer questions that maybe the clients don't have answers for, we'll reach out to the attorney and just get some clarification. But apart from that, we really try to work with the client to accomplish their goals.
Mhm. What do you wish the clients knew about the auction process, whether it be from the personal property, real estate, or both? Are there things you wish they knew that they do not know?
Yeah, a common misconception is that distressed property, both personal property and real estate, gets sold at auction. And that just is not true. When you look at auctions, some of the most valuable things in the world are sold at
Mhm.
auction, which includes real estate,
Mhm.
vehicles, art, horses, coins. The most
Mhm.
valuable assets in the world are sold at auction, and it's for a reason. It's because
Mhm.
auctions work. So that's what I wish some people could understand. It's not distressed, it's not broken. Some of the best things in the world are sold at auction.
You're absolutely right because all those movies, with that real fancy artwork, they're selling them at
Yeah.
auction, where they
Oh,
hold their
yeah.
little paddles up. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I like that. And then just kind of to close this out, Kaleb, tell us why you enjoy your job.
That's a great question. I'm very fortunate to do what I do. We work with a lot of families who are struggling. They're making hard decisions, whether it's yourself, you're saying, I've loved this home for so many years and now I have to move. That's a tough decision.
Mhm.
And so I'm fortunate to be able to help people through that process. Or maybe it's dad passed away, or mom passed away, or there's been some loss in the family. Those are tough things to go through for any family. And so I'm fortunate to be able to help assist and get people through those difficult situations. And so we always try to have a great level of respect, sympathy for the families and what they're going through. And I think that's what I enjoy most. I enjoy the people. When we sold the farm down in Clear Spring, Maryland, it was a tough day for the family. They had farmed that farm hard for 80 years, and that's
Yeah.
all they knew. But it was time. and it was fortunate. There was tears from both Hurley Auction staff and from them, but it
Oh,
was
sure.
fortunate that we had the opportunity to assist them through that great life-changing event.
I like that. I do, because I here at our office, I know sometimes, when we're meeting with clients, they've become our friends, through the process. And so, we're feeling the same things they're feeling. And so it's nice to have partners in the community where we feel like our clients are a priority and that, they're putting them first. And I feel like we've always felt that when we've worked with you guys over at Hurley Auctions.
Yeah, we love working with people.
Yes. Okay, so tell us how somebody can contact Hurley Auctions. Do we do it by phone, email? What's the best way?
Whatever people are most comfortable with. So we're available by phone. We're available by email, Facebook, text message, through the mail if you want. However they'd like to reach us. The quickest way to reach us is probably just to give us a call on a work day, 8 to 4:30. We're here Monday to Friday. Call us, and we'll make sure we get back to you as soon as we can if we're not available. But that's the quickest way to get a hold of us, is just go ahead and give us a call. We'll make sure we talk to you and see what we can do for you.
What I'm going to do for everybody who's watching is we're going to get the information from Kaleb. We will drop it in our description of the video, email, phone number, best way to contact. We'll even do like handles for social media so people can check it out. So don't worry, you can get it as you're watching this video, just right below us in the descriptions. Kaleb, thank you so much for your time. I've learned a lot. I mean, I know that you and I have worked together on some cases, but it's very rare that I get the opportunity to interview. I mean, that's kind of what I feel like I was doing. And so I know I learn a lot too. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this today. I had a ball doing it. So
Well,
hopefully
absolutely.
we can do it again sometime. I just feel like you guys over there are doing such a good job. I know that I didn't touch on it, and I should. You guys do seminars. Let's make sure to mention that because I
We
want
do.
people to be able to get information. So tell us seminar wise.
Yeah, we do monthly seminars. And so
Okay.
this past month, we had a downsizing seminar, how to downsize, what are some of the things you need to be aware of. And then this upcoming month, on March 15th at 6 p.m., we have a selling real estate at auction seminar. Why sell real estate at auction? And so that's our
Nice.
March seminar. In
Is that
April,
at
we'll
your
have
guys'
that's
facility?
at our facility. Yep, our facility. So please come. We'll have nice treats for you, maybe some cookies and treats. And then in April, we'll have another downsizing seminar where we'll go through the downsizing process, what you need to be aware of. But every month, we'll switch back and forth to different seminars. But if you just check our website, it's www.hurleyauctions.com. That's where you can be aware of all the seminars we have coming up.
I attended your guys' downsizing seminar and it was so informative. So anybody who wants to get some information, kind of hear you guys talk about it, please check out that seminar. It was fantastic. All right, Kaleb, anything else you can think of that you can share with us?
I think we've touched on a lot of things, but something we always want to make sure people understand about us is that we are real people. We are not robots. We're not going to do anything that would not be in your best interest. And so, with the folks that we work for, we want to make sure that they're pleased, that they're satisfied. We want them to understand we're part of their family. This started as a family business, and it continues to be a family business because we recognize that things are difficult, and we want to be part of your family.
Thank you, Kaleb. So this was our most recent seminar as partnering with the pros. This was Kaleb Hurley with Hurley Auctions. Please feel free to check the description below. I'm going to make sure to have all the contact information. Hurley Auctions is located at 2800 Buchanan Trail East in Greencastle. You can reach them via phone at 717-597-9100. Thank you, Kaleb. We appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll talk soon, okay?
Thank you.